Okay, so what you're going to watch after this introduction is the first part of a webinar I hosted on retiring and how to move forward successfully after a career, even if you're retired or pre-retired. Long story short, it was a process that I developed just on reflecting on what I was going through and how I got to the point of figuring out what it was that I wanted to do, and then understanding what it was that I needed and we all need, frankly, to flourish going forward. So I created this course and I see the need for it pretty frequently, so I wanted to share it with people. I've broken the whole entirety of the course just in this webinar down basically into three sections. This first section, we're just going to go over kind of an overview of the framework, what we're looking for, defining success. There's a recap document in it, but what we're really talking about is where our focus is directed and controls how our state of mind, whether it's positive, neutral, or negative. And that state of mind actually has the most impact into whether or not we feel happiness long term and fulfillment, because it allows us to be more creative, have more motivation, and problem solve in better ways. So I basically define success in retirement as flourishing, and then we'll break flourishing down into some component elements of it. Anyway, I hope you find it helpful. At the end of it is another little spiel on what you just listened to. There is a document that recaps this first section, and then at the end of that document are several questions for you to ask of yourself to get started on the process. So best of luck. Do your best to engage with it. It is just the start of a process. You can watch the videos in less than 20 minutes, and the real magic comes from asking those questions and considering them and developing just kind of new avenues and vistas for and ways to look at your life after your career. Best of luck to you. By all means, give me constructive criticism, or if you have any questions, you can call me on the phone or email me, whatever you like. This is a process that I've built for folks to help them get more out of life. And so, however I can improve upon it, I'm interested in hearing about it. Thank you. First principle of like what I do here at the Functional Man, but in this course, is that we've kind of as a society got this idea of what it means to be happy or how to achieve happiness backwards, which is that if we reach certain things, if we have some success, and then we'll be healthy. So we set these goalposts for us that we end up always changing. And what we know about brain science is it's actually the opposite of that. If we really want to feel that sense of success, what we need to do is cultivate ways to have a positive state of mind. And that's basically because we just perform better when we're in a positive state of mind. We see more, we have more mental energy, we have more discipline, we see more opportunities, and we can think more flexibly. So really, we want to cultivate positive states of mind and focus on that. And then success is much more likely to follow. So the other thing about it is oftentimes this just ties into that we get hung up on, if we have this, then we'll be happy. But what we also know is, if I know everything about you, only about 10% I can only predict about, or if I know everything about your world, like your work environment or your family or what you're doing on, that only predicts about 10% of how much life satisfaction you have. The rest of it is really how we perceive the world and all the events happen to us. So this is just another way of getting to that state of mind. When we're in a positive state of mind, we see things more positively. We interpret things as challenges and as versus as threats. So the purpose of this course is how do we get that state of mind and cultivate it so we can feel flourishing and happiness. So basically the goals are, how do we achieve long-term happiness, so not just joy in the moment, but real satisfying happiness and fulfillment, which I call flourishing. We'll get into more. And it's really designed for both pre and post people. So folks that are trying to figure out how to disentangle from the career, or if they've, run up against something where they have to leave earlier than they want, but just allowing us to move forward with some kind of grace and the minimum of suffering. And then into that, we're going to understand like the components of our well-being. And briefly, when we think about our well-being, it's our health in three different factors: our physical uh, health, our mental health, and then our social health too. So all three of those make up how healthy we are. And then hopefully the folks that take this will be inspired to take action by giving us some smaller steps that we can work towards. So, talking about flourishing and well-being, what is it? Well, one is it's not a state that we're going to get to, but it's an active and dynamic process. So the world is always changing, and we're changing in it. And so when we have an approach that accommodates that and allows us to change with it, then we're going to be better off. So flourishing is really just this expression of well-being in the world. What are we doing that reflects back to ourselves that we're doing well, and then expresses that to others? And so, like, balances and challenges, balancing capabilities and challenges that are always going to change. But it's very movement focused. So the time is moving on, we're moving through the earth. So we want to be focusing on that we're not going to get to a state until our last day where we're no longer moving in the world. So focus on continuing to move, continuing to grow, and engaging as a person. This is just a model that we're going to use. It's a model of well-being, and what it allows us to do is to get more granular when we're trying to do this goal setting process, and we're creating that vision for our life of like the different components that research says that if we address those in the right combination for us, then we'll have that feeling of well-being and flourishing and fulfillment. So it's 6 components. You can see that it's positive emotions. We'll get into all of these later. Engagements, positive relationships, meaning, accomplishments, and health. So we'll break those down and what they look like and we'll work on some steps to how to address each one of those. So just some principles of goal setting and how we're going to break down this process. Wherever we're setting goals, part of the thing is defining that future state, that vision that we want to move towards. That's important for success because human beings work better when we're pulled towards a vision or value than when we're pushed away. So when we have something positive to focus on, we're more likely to get closer to it, versus if we're just moving away from innocuous stimuli, we can actually go anywhere. So it's kind of the frying pan into the fire. We can jump out of the frying pan, but who knows where we'll go. But if we have an idea of exactly where we'll go, we know that. And then the second goal is we want to frame our current state. So we're really building a map figuratively in the future. So where do we want to go? What's our current state? And so we'll touch on that in this class of kind of what are the unique challenges for retirement, but also retirement for emergency responders. And then it's important when we're building a plan and this goal system to accomplish that we need to understand the impediments that are coming up. So, if I set a goal to start a meditation practice and I'm going to meditate every day for the next month, I also have to understand that I have a schedule and I have to change new habits and I have to set things up. So there's things that I can anticipate that are likely to impede that progress. And that when we know about those and can identify them, we're more likely to be able to plan around them. And then, we do goal setting so we can take these really large aspirations or projects and break them down into manageable steps so that we can accomplish.
Right, so that was section 1. There's also going to be an attached document, which is a recap of that section, and then at the end of it are going to be your first exercise to complete on this process. So this recap is self-explanatory, but remember, we're really trying to harness our state of mind, and we can impact that by where we are focusing on, where we direct that. And then outlining in a general process, we want to project that positive future vision that we're moving towards. The first step in that is going to be the exercises at the end of this, which are just frame our current state. And it's just a thought exercise to consider what it is that you find important about work in general, and what it is that you found of value and as both challenges in your current career. So I know that if we're in the end of our career and we kind of want to get out, and we're still working because we need the money, or we're not really sure what to do, the negative aspects of our workplace and our work environment can be more maybe readily accessible, and that's fine. I would encourage you just to write those down and just be matter of fact about them, and then just be purposeful about looking for the positive aspects of it. The reason is this, is that we want to develop the capacity for perspective. And so when we talk about forming a positive state of mind, what we're not doing is just ignoring any negatives in our life or any bad things, but acknowledging the fact that both good and bad things and many, many neutral things occur in our life, and get in the habit of just noticing those good things that are happening. Because without getting too deep into it, we all have a bias towards negativity, which means that we evolutionary learn more powerful by negative things. This is the proverbial once your parents can tell you not to touch a hot pan all they want, but when you do it the first time, then you have that negative experience, and it's a formative learning experience. So my point being is this, is that just because we can call up the negative consequences of our or aspects of our circumstances more readily, doesn't mean that they are actually more valid and any more valid than the positive aspects. Anyway, that's a little digression. Just go through the questions. Keep in mind that if you get stuck, or you're like, I don't know what the answer, or you get hung up on having the right answer, don't worry about it. The process kind of works like this. We're just going to ask ourselves a question, or someone's going to ask us of us, and then we're just going to come up with the answer, sit with that, reflect on it a while, and we're going to approach it again down the road. Importantly, I think it's super, super, super helpful to have a written record of this. So just get a notebook and record your notes and your thoughts as you go along. That will help you think more clearly. It'll help you notice trends. And then oftentimes when we're in these states where maybe we're a little anxious or having a hard time to sleep, when we can write stuff down in there because we want to remember it, that signals our brain that that is recorded. We no longer have to spend energy on trying to keep that thought in mind. All right, so ask the questions, come up with the answers that you have. Don't worry about having the exact right answer. You'll get a chance. You can ask them and answer them as many times as possible, but go through those documents. I really encourage you to write down your answers. If you have someone that's available and you can have a discussion about these things, that's great too. But take action, move forward. And then probably in about a week or so, I'm going to have section 2 set up where we're going to go into values clarification more in depth. And then in section 3, we're going to get into actually deconstructing those elements of PERMA. What does it mean to have positive emotions? What are they? How do we develop more of them? Engagement, relationships, and all that stuff. All right, be well, go forth, take action, and we'll get a handle on this.